So we are we named ourselves like My Nap team because we're working on the sleep diary for the Eisenberg Family Depression Center, and we want to facilitate data collection for sleep medicine research. And we are interning with ITS for this summer. So our team members are Anika, there's Jushi, Max, and we also have another member, Rafael, but who's unfortunately today not here with us because he had to travel out of the country. But yeah, so we will start our presentation, give a little overview, and then move on to demonstrations and so forth. So like we were introducing, we are the Mind App team. So that's the name of the app that we're working on. And it's essentially a sleep diary, which would record we should allow participants to record their sleep, and it's a very simple application. It's a smartwatch application. So the agenda for today's meeting would be first introduction, then we'll demonstrate our solution, talk about how the researchers are going to facilitate from this, as well as talk about like replicating these projects on different platforms as well as on the same platform. So moving forward, the goal of the project is to assist in capturing sleep data, to facilitate sleep medicine studies at the Eisenberg Family Depression Center, and we are working with the mobile core development team. And we are focusing on two different kinds of users who would be basically interested in the data that is being collected. One would be the participants who are actually helping generate the data, and the researchers who will look into this data and carry forward their researches correlating with the data that they have. So for a participant, they usually register with the research team or the study team, where their details are taken by the study team and where they receive their study ID and the participant ID. So study ID correlates to a study that is being pursued by the researchers, and a participant ID is a unique ID for a participant who is partaking as a participant in this research. So the idea is like we have a mobile app as well as a smartwatch app. So this mobile app is a companion application to the smartwatch to help. So it is developed in consideration of people who have hard time like working on the watch interface, like typing in details, or for other kind of insights which cannot be achieved on the small screen on watches. So from the mobile app, we have kept our login feature where the user starts their journey by logging in. And once they're logged in, they would get on their watch app an interface which would allow them to click on recording sleep. And obviously, like once they wake up, they can click on wake up, and that's how the data would be generated. And they can also provide their feedback on a sleep session, which is denoted by a starting of sleeping till they click on the wake up button. And they can provide their feedback, which can further facilitate the researchers to understand the data. And we also think like the mobile app can be used by the researchers to see the data collected against the study ID or a participant's ID, which would actually help them understand the trend or get basic overview on the data that is being collected. Moving forward. So the front end, which Chishi would be taking over. Chishi.
Hi, thanks, Anika. Hello, everyone. This is Kushi, and me and Raphael, actually, we both collaborated together to work on the UX design and developer for the front end. So for the front end, we mostly designed and developed the small watch screens. So here we have three most features for the our sleep watch. The first one is login. So the participants will input their their like a participant ID or like study ID to log into the screen. Yeah, so you can see based on the screenshot we have like the fields for both IDs and sign button. The second part is go to sleep. So our users can press the go to sleep button when they feel they're ready to sleep. And so there's a sign out button shown just before the participants press the go to sleep button. So after they press the button, we're gonna start tracking their sleep time. And then the sign out button gonna be just gonna hide. And yeah, we're gonna hide this button until when the participant press the wake up button. So we're gonna come to the third step. So third step, the participants they can press the wake up button when they feel okay, they just wake up and press it, then we're gonna stop tracking their sleep time. So those are all the three features we have, like simple features we have for the smartwatch. And could you please come to the next slide? Yes, and this is the overview about our just app. We have like a image of icon here, and the screenshot shows the overview of all the apps within the smartwatch application. So this is like so far what we have for the front end and such like user journal interface we have. And thank you. We are gonna pass over to Max to talk about the backend.
Yeah. Hey everyone. I primarily worked on the backend for the application. We utilize cloud storage from AWS DynamoDB so that the sleep session data will be recorded onto cloud. And we also noticed that the med school uses Oracle database for internal data management. So we also created a Docker script that can be hosted on my server to synchronize our data from AWS to Oracle. And for the tech stack of the project, it's actually very straightforward. For the app version, for the watch app, we use Swift. And for the mobile app, we use React Native. Both apps are connected to the same AWS resource, and they can function independently. If the participant only uses the watch app to collect data to record their sleep session, that's fine. But if they have the ability to get access to the mobile app, they could also use that to complement the watch app for further data recording purposes. Okay, cool. I guess it's my turn to share my screen and show you guys what we have so far. I'm going to log into our watch app first to kind of walk through what we have. So this is a test account that we set up. So we can click on the button to indicate that we're going to sleep. And then we can press the wake up button. And that completes one recording session for recording, like for sleep data. And this will reflect on our Dynamo database. I will show you. So this is so we use two tables to kind of separate data management. So for the auth table, it is purely used for authentication purposes with participant ID and study ID. And for the entry table, we use this to record individual sleep sessions. And I did some testing, but the recording, like the session that I just demonstrated to you guys, is recorded on this database. And we use the app to kind of help the participants to answer surveys regarding their sleep session. The survey is only available within the hour which they complete the sleep session. And as you can see, this is the sleep session that I just recorded. And as participants, we can answer the survey regarding the session. And once we completed this, it will update the survey information as a JSON object to the existing record that we have. So as you can see, we record sleep session start and sleep session end, and the sleep survey data will reside in the remarks cell. And this is a simple data table that displays all the users, all the participants' recent sleep session history. Before it got synced into Oracle, we would display all the sleep sessions on the AWS database. After it's synced into the Oracle database, we would delete all records on AWS for data integrity purposes. And yeah, this is like a quick list order by sleep session end. And also you can view your credentials in the app, and you can also choose to log out and log back in. And when you create a new sleep session per se, the app would detect that a new session is created, so you can answer the survey, and everything will be recorded back in AWS database. And our script can sync the AWS sleep session data to Oracle. That's my demo, and thank you for listening. And Anika, it's your turn, right?
Yeah, thank you, Max.
Thanks.
So as we saw in the demonstration, like we looked into the data, that the data was collected against a participant's ID and the study ID. So we plan on having visualization or dashboards dedicated for the researchers, where we plan on having we plan on giving admin access or different access level access to the researchers, where they can log in and look into the insights in a dashboard, and each of the access level would be confined to their study ID that they belong to, and they would only get to see the data of the participant pool that is associated with the study ID. So what we see or understand from the data that is to be collected is there would be a sleep pattern for each participant, which the researcher would be interested in to look into the data quality or the data type that is being collected by the watch app. At the same time, they would want to see the data across or get an overview of the sleep data collected against the study ID before they merge it with other data that they have at their end. So that's so basically the researcher's dashboard, which we can either create on SaaS solutions such as Tableau, or if we like put it into the mobile app with different access levels, which have like visualizations dedicated to a participant IDs and study IDs. So in case of if anyone wants to replicate the process, like we were showing, like we're having our initial deployment in AWS, and once it's backed up into the Michigan Medicine's Oracle database, the information that was recorded in AWS is kind of like discarded, and the Oracle is like the ultimate place where all the data is stored. So also just to mention, like Max showed, that the participant can see their sleep history. So once the data is backed up into Oracle, they wouldn't be able to see their sleep history. So they have to give the feedback kind of like once the data is there. And it kind of makes sense, because it doesn't make sense of reviewing your sleep data a month ago or a week ago. So yeah, so we have a Docker script to sync between the two databases, AWS and Oracle's. Then there would be need for deployment into AWS. So there should be maintenance of an AWS platform and a server. And this application is developed in iOS, which definitely can be extended into Garmin's, Fitbits, and other smartwatch platforms. But in this case, it needs to be published into the Apple App Store. And talking about our project is currently on GitHub. So I'll just jump onto GitHub to show the structure that might help. Basically, we have like different branches where we have like organized our implementation along with instructions. So the first one is where we have the mobile app. So the mobile app, like we had seen in the demonstration, is used for like looking to different insights, for typing and logging credentials, and it's built on top of React Native. So we have it maintained on this branch. And then we have the front end, like the Watch OS, the Watch app that we're talking about, that is maintained in the branch called New Front End. So yeah, so anyone who wants to replicate, they would just need to clone this, and like they can work on top of it, or they can use this as a template to better work on a infrastructure with more organized or in their own way of coding. I'm gonna switch back to the presentation. Give me a moment.
Yeah, I have a few comments to make.
Sure, go ahead.
That's fine. Oh yeah, so we have all the front end related stuff on GitHub. Everything's we've went through lots of details, so it's ready to use. But for the backend, we use this framework called AWS Amplify. And this framework it generates an API that is connected to AWS DynamoDB, and whoever wishes to replicate this project may need to start their own Amplify project and to configure their own I guess schema for the DynamoDB database, but we will provide lots more details in our documentation. The process is really very simple. And on a side note, I with the Apple Watch, we were also able to implement data persistent storage, which means that if the app is running on the background, or if the app gets disconnected from Wi-Fi on the watch, it can still record the data and sync to the cloud database once the watch comes back online. And also in order to set up the backend, a lot of the files, including schema, is already on GitHub, so it'll be a very useful reference point to get all the researchers started. And again, we'll provide detailed documentations as we wrap it up.
When we talk about access level, we actually mean like people having different kind of permissions when they log in and being able to see a certain level of features, not all of them. So we, at this moment, due to time constraint, we could not have the different access levels configured, but that's something that in this kind of applications should be maintained, we believe. And sometimes there are anomalies in data and which can be edited. So we might have some researchers who might want, or some kind of studies where they might want the provision to edit some of the data, or maybe add comments, their own comments to the data that they see, or the visualization that they see. So those kind of provisions could be in the future scope for better data collection. So apart from that, we have a rough cost estimation of having this project. And when we are talking about this project, specifically an Apple iOS application, watch application, a React Native mobile application, the one as we demonstrated would roughly be around this with a breakdown. So roughly it would be around 3,200. And it also includes the different infrastructure costs that we have worked with. So yeah, that's pretty much concludes our presentation, and we are open to questions or anything. And if you have any further things after this meeting, you can reach us out at this group email and any of us can reach back to you. Thank you, people.
Thank you, Anika. So we'll just open it up for questions. Looks like we have some questions in the chat. I don't know if Jamie or Giovanni, you want to jump in?
Yeah, it just seems like since it's a 4-digit login and then a 4-digit study, I'm wondering how, if you're going to try to limit if someone accidentally punches in a different ID and logs in and then record a sleep under the wrong ID.
So basically, their study ID and the participant ID are restricted to study ID and participant. So we believe that those kind of cases might not be that frequent, but that is a possibility which then we would need to give the researchers. So basically the researchers dashboard would actually show the data that's been collected. So we would need someone to monitor the data initially to make sure that such kind of anomalies or such kind of incidents are not occurring before we come up with a pattern of like this incident, so we can combat those. I believe that would be something we can move forward with.
Okay. And then the only other question I had is, are you tapping into any of like the device, sleep data that, so during recording of sleep, are you also going to grab, whatever Apple provides for their sleep metrics?
Well, I can answer this question. No, we are not. We are operating very independently from the health metrics Apple Watch is collecting, because we are aware of the privacy concerns. We are only interested in recording the timestamps of users when they press the buttons.
Yeah, and Victoria, please feel free to jump in. The reason we also wanted to stay away from recording any sensor healthcare data is because of the restrictions from Apple. So if a study wanted to use the data directly, they will need to have some kind of contract with Apple, which can take a long time.
And part of the part of the driver for this was that we had, well, it's pretty common if studies are tracking sleep because there are errors in the data provided from the watches and devices. We were trying to address the fact that many of the diaries are on paper. And so this was really just a replacement for the paper sleep diary and not necessarily a replacement for anything going on with the device, but it was to replace that paper sleep diary so that there's less labor on the part of the study team, so that they have that electronically. They don't have to receive a paper and then enter all the paper and then, create their own data set from it. So it creates an electronic version of that paper diary.
Hey, this is Rima from Family Medicine, and I want to say it's good to see this app again. It's been a while since I saw some of this work, and I love the simplicity of this. I love the simplicity of it. As you said, Victoria, it answers a very specific need. And it's sometimes it's really tempting to over-engineer, but this is a very, very clean app. It's collecting the data that is needed in a very concise way. And I appreciate that. And it looks adorable. Which is, again, I thought that the first time I got to see it. So definitely glad to see this presentation and to see it kind of, come into fruition. And I think it's a great. One question I have for the team: how do you feel about this coming out as, in essence, being a public resource? And what are your thoughts on someone taking your beautiful product and commercializing it?
Well, yeah, go ahead, Max.
Oh, well, I'd be very open to commercialization. I feel like that this product has huge potential for researchers and and people who are in need of tracking their sleep. We are personally, I'd be very happy to see if it can go on to the App Store one day.
Have you filed the paperwork with the Office of Tech Transfer and Innovation and everything else yet? Victoria says no. So one of the things you want to think about doing is laying that foundation, whether it is something that is in, something that you would be interested in having it be a commercial, or whether you are trying to prevent that from happening. There is a formal channel at the university to register this as an invention, and to kind of help determine what its purpose / use possibilities are and what the university may own of it. So, I mean, that's a whole other conversation and rabbit hole to go down to. But, as this was a learning experience for you, I would say that's another part of the learning experience, is to go through that paperwork.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you for that advice. And yeah, that's something we would be interested in also. Thank you. We weren't aware of it.
I will say that it's something that our faculty are much more familiar with when they build something, is going through that paperwork, because again, depending on your funding, whether it's something you can commercialize or not, or whether that was part of your overall plan. But even when something kind of starts out as a scrappy little project, if you have something that could have some kind of potential for dissemination, you do want to line up that legal chain.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your suggestion.
We saw a question from Joseph regarding demonstration of the Oracle database. So that is currently not like currently we are in the process of like having that up and running. So we are running into some issues with the VPN, but it's very similar to what Max has demonstrated on the AWS platform. So we just wanted to like talk about that. Yeah, and we're open to any further questions, any further feedbacks, any further suggestions.
I just noticed maybe we missed one question from on the chat. So let me see. Yes, it's like Giovanni asked, do we see a possibility of someone logging under the wrong ID? I will say definitely there's a possibility of someone logging under, the wrong ID, especially in a real world like setting where like human error can occur. So far, I don't think we set such, limitations for that, but because when we log into our either our front end for smartwatch or our backend for the mobile app, it seems we have to have such ID store in our kind of database. So it seems if we couldn't log into the correct ID, the login button wouldn't help. I think so, but I'm not sure, Max, do you have anything to explain about these login features?
Like we just talked about, it might be more of an issue for how the researchers are going to design the login credentials in the future. But as for the app part right now, we simply consider participant ID and study ID as username and password. As long as they match, it is not a problem. But yeah, that's what we have for now.
And I just want to add to that. So as we've been going through a lot of these platform demos lately, we've seen that a lot of the applications from these vendors work exactly the same way. You have to enter a study ID and a participant ID. So I don't think it's that big of an issue, or so many vendors wouldn't be doing that. The other thing that we've seen in the demos is sometimes they will have an invitation code or a QR code. So that might be a future enhancement where somebody generates the QR code and gives it to the participant and that logs them into the application.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Mm.
And also regarding the alphanumeric IDs, so even if a watch does not support a alphabet keyboard, since we have a mobile app to accompany it, so which actually allows login to the smartwatch, so this can be doable as well. So we can accommodate alphanumeric IDs as well.
Yeah, and so I think initially we were not going to have the companion mobile app. It was just a smartwatch. That's why we came up with the 4 digits, the 4 numbers, because that was a lot easier to enter on a tiny little watch screen. But now with the companion mobile app, you're right, that opens the door to other characters for easier data entry.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when we design like our user storyboard, we've received like such common feedback from researchers said like, hey, we are just using like a so tiny screen for like watch, so it's kind of hard to just use like a keyboard to type like a kind of like a letters. That's why we just skip this part and just use the numbers as ID. But yeah, I really appreciate this idea. Like we can later to add this to make sure if we can just combine letters and those like numbers for IDs for login. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to touch base on my design choice of having separate login features for the mobile app and the watch app. I remember that during one of our previous meetings with Gabriel and Victoria, we discussed the possibilities of having senior citizens to use our application. And we understand that it might be challenging for them to to navigate the mobile app freely, and that's why we decided to kind of separate the authentication process for the watch and the app, so that if people just want to use the watch without the mobile app, that's also fine.
And one other aspect that we didn't touch during the presentation when talking about design recommendations. So there was a confusion, there was a question about like logging in with the wrong ID or the wrong password, right? So when we're maintaining a database table and within the database, so there's a table for the authorizing the login credentials. So in that database, we're keeping the combination of the user ID and the participant ID as a unique combination key, which cannot be replicated. Like the combination cannot be like repeated. So I believe since that is not being repeated, it might be the case in case if the IDs are not in kind of incremental or a very obvious pattern, then that case can be mitigated as well. I just wanted to add to my previous answer on that. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, well, I want to say congratulations, guys. The app looks really, really cool. You guys did an excellent work. So congrats.
Thank you. No, and it was also thank you to you and Victoria for guiding us whenever we were confused or whenever we had questions. You guys were always helping us out. So thanks for
Yeah.
that.
Thank
You're
you.
so welcome.